The Minutemen. It's probably safe to say they're one of the least preferred groups in Fallout 4. Once a great faction in the Commonwealth, their numbers were absolutely decimated to the stage where you probably couldn't really call them a proper faction. But Fallout 4's traditional lore does somewhat rebuild the Minutemen, arguably to the stage where they once were before. But what would we do different? How would we change Fallout 4's traditional lore to make the Minutemen a faction that perhaps we like more, or at least we think is a little bit more interesting? In other words, how do we make the Minutemen even greater again? This is Altered Lore. Before altering the Minutemen's lore, we must understand the lore itself and the foundation upon which we can build on. So let's take a look at the Minutemen's history, with a special thanks to the Fallout Wiki by Fandom in helping me write this script. The Minutemen were once a great faction in the Commonwealth, in the year 2287, comprised of small communities banding together, training themselves, and protecting each other. The Minutemen expanded to the stage where they defeated a large super mutant attack against Diamond City in 2180. Eventually, the Minutemen took over Fort Independence, renaming it the Castle as their headquarters. They created an armory and built a radio tower to notify Minutemen soldiers about other towns and communities around the wasteland that were in trouble. But in 2240, due to a Mirelurk attack, Fort Independence had to be abandoned. The leader at the time, General McGann, locked himself in the castle's armory, and even though he died of dehydration, he at least managed to prevent the Mirelurks nesting in the armory itself. General Becker was the last leader of the Minutemen, but after he was killed, the faction could not agree upon a new leader. Then comes the Quincy Massacre. Quincy was a town once controlled by the Minutemen itself, but a rival faction in the Commonwealth, the Gunners, successfully attacked and drove the Minutemen out. But not only this, they completely slaughtered their ranks, with only Preston Garvey and 19 other Minutemen members surviving. A fundamental reason behind the loss was due to Clint, a veteran of the Minutemen, defecting to the Gunners and leading a large assault against Quincy at nighttime. The Minutemen, along with other citizens of Quincy, were quite literally massacred. For those that survived or did not participate in the Battle of Quincy, some disbanded, some died, while others became bandits. But Preston Garvey persisted, attempting to protect a group that was still being attacked by the Gunners. Some of the group died, but he and 5 others managed to survive. The Minutemen became a shadow of their former self. This is where us, as the protagonist, come across Preston Garvey and the group. We find them in the Museum of Freedom and help them against a raider attack. Preston Garvey, thankful for what we did, invites us to be a member of the Minutemen and join them. This is where the settlement quests begin. Preston asks us to go to settlements that need our help with the hope of aligning them with the Minutemen. Eventually, thanks to our help, the Minutemen grow and we are acknowledged as the leader by Preston Garvey. And eventually, we take the castle back as our headquarters. With this quest done, we can still obtain some quests from Preston, but these are essentially repeats of helping other settlements. As we continue the game, we can then align with any other faction, like the Institute or the Brotherhood, and we will always remain on the Minutemen's good side. There is also, of course, specific Minutemen end quests. For example, if we go against the Institute, the Minutemen and Institute will be at war, which eventually ends with us working with the Minutemen to blow up the Institute. Conversely, if we go against the Brotherhood, the Minutemen and the Brotherhood will be at war, which eventually ends with us destroying the Pridwin and defending the castle against the Brotherhood. So now that we have a solid understanding of the Minutemen lore, how would we alter it? How would we change the pre-established history of the Minutemen so that we personally prefer them as a faction, or at least find them somewhat more interesting? Here's my take. This is what I would alter. Number 1, when the Minutemen are finally rebuilt, they should take revenge against the Gunners. The Gunners are quite literally the faction that massacred the Minutemen of old. While there were some other reasons behind the Minutemen's downfall, arguably it was the Gunners at the Battle of Quincy that ultimately led to their demise. But in Fallout 4, the Minutemen does not take vengeance, does not take revenge, does not seek retribution against what the Gunners did to them all those years back. And why? Why would this be the case? Why would the Minutemen just continue to help other settlements and not at the very least seek to strike back against the group that caused them so much issues, that almost caused them to be wiped off the face of the Commonwealth? Heck, the Minutemen also controlled Quincy at one stage. Why would it not be important to take over Quincy? This is something that I found strange, and I think it would be a truly powerful story story to see the Minutemen reclaim the town that they once controlled, and strike back against the Gunners, and importantly, deal punishment to Clint, the one that initially defected from the Minutemen and was fundamental in the Gunners' victory at the time. So that's the first thing. Number 2, Preston Garvey. Now look, he's not technically the leader of the Minutemen. He never really assumed that role. Rather, we, as the protagonist, are appointed the leader of the Minutemen. We are the ones that take control of the faction. But let's be honest here, who is the one that spends the most time with the Minutemen? Who is the one that's usually around the people, both before and after we take back the castle? It is Preston Garvey. Yes, technically, we are the leader, but for most of the game, we are detached from the Minutemen. We're doing other things. We are looting, we are completing other quests, we are exploring other areas. Effectively, in my opinion, Preston Garvey is the leader of the Minutemen, or at the very least, he is someone that should have more of a leadership role. And this is the second thing that I would alter. Preston Garvey needs to take some damn initiative. And this also relates to the dependence of the Minutemen on us as the protagonist, as the de facto leader of the Minutemen. Preston is always asking for us to help out other settlements. Preston is always asking for us to do things for the Minutemen, to help them grow, to help them get back to the stage that they once were. But what is he doing? While we are protecting other settlements and getting them to align with us as the Minutemen, what is Preston doing? He's walking around. He's seeing if everyone's okay, but he's not doing much. He's not a leader, and I think he should be. I think he should stand up and assume some responsibility. He never wanted to be leader, I get that, but after the Quincy massacre, he did become the leader of what was left of the Minutemen. He was the one that protected the remaining Minutemen after the Quincy massacre, and for that he should be applauded. But also due to that, he should realize that the people look up to him. He should realize that they all depend on him. And even though he doesn't want to be the leader, given the circumstances and given this harsh post-apocalyptic wasteland that they all live in, he needs to recognize, especially if he wants the Minutemen to continue as a faction, that they need a leader, and he was the one that should have assumed that role. Not pass it off to us, but for him to grow a spine, to corral the Minutemen together and grow from there. For him to lead some groups to help other settlements, for him to go out and rebuild the Minutemen, for him to make it clear in the Commonwealth that he is the new leader of the Minutemen, and that when people deal with the Minutemen, they deal with him as a leader. But that's not what he does. Compare him to Arthur Maxson, a strong, ruthless leader, and while you may not agree with all of Arthur's ideologies and beliefs, we must all appreciate that he is a true leader, one that everyone in the Brotherhood looks up to and respects for that reason, because of his ability to command the army, because of his ability to ensure the Brotherhood is sustainable and that their future is protected. But that is not how Preston Garvey is viewed, so I would alter his law to making more of a leader as he should be. Number 3, morality. I would change the entire approach of the Minutemen so they weren't such goody two-shoes. I mean, let's be real here. What does the Minutemen do in the Commonwealth? They help settlements and they help wage a war against the Brotherhood or the Institute when the time comes along. But that's it. That's all they do. They are quite literally the epitome of the good guys in Fallout 4. But that's not interesting. I would change that. I would have them be more of a ruthless, aggressive faction. Take some realization that they were screwed over in the past by Clint and the Gunners at Quincy, and as a result, become more hardened. Make some tough choices. What they did in the past simply did not work. If it worked, they would still be around in the form that they once were, but they're not. They were massacred at Quincy, yet their morality and the decisions that they make with helping settlements remains unchanged. Plus, this is a post-apocalyptic wasteland. There is no time to be good all the time. If the Minutemen really want to grow and solely not rely on us as the protagonist to help that happen, they do need to make some tough choices. They need to steal supplies. They need to kill other people that wrong them. They need to force the hands of some settlements to join them so that they're able to grow much faster. I mean, let's be honest here. Not every settlement needs our help in the Commonwealth, but that does not mean they shouldn't be prime targets for the Minutemen's expansion. The Minutemen should be a bit more aggressive in the actions that they take to ensure that their future is not undermined once again. And finally, I would alter the importance of the Minutemen as a faction, because let's be real here, as far as Fallout 4's factions go, they're rather benign. I mean, you can align with the Institute, the Railroad, or the Brotherhood of Steel and still be friendly with the Minutemen. I mean, yes, you are their leader, so what you say goes, but why does that have to be the case? Why can't Preston or the remaining members of the Minutemen disagree with what you've done? take more of a fundamental and important role in the War of the Commonwealth. If I was to have my way, I would have the Minutemen be able to wage war against any other major faction or group in Fallout 4. Why can't we attack all of them, the Brotherhood, the Institute, the Railroad, and take control of the entire Commonwealth ourselves? Become the dominant force, instead of just being some sort of little side faction. But that's just what I think. What do all of you think as the community? Feel free to share your thoughts in the comments below, but I also asked what you thought on Twitter, and what you would change or alter with the lore of the Minutemen if you had your way. Well, Cameron Douglas said, get rid of Preston Garvey. I can't disagree. Liberty Prime says, and Preston Garvey should probably be less needy. Absolutely, he relies too much on us to save other settlements. Wade Savage says, if they were a ragged, no bullshit group of reluctant patriots, they would have been fine. Can't disagree. At the Blue Panda says, it'd be cool if they were a guerrilla-like faction that specializes in covert operations. And why not? When you're rebuilding the Minutemen, their numbers are small. If they wanted to grow and gain supplies and obtain new weapons and tech to help their cause, that probably would have been a great way to go about it. And speaking of weapons, Alex Zoot says, I'd make them grow dynamically with the progression of the game and adopt better weapons, armor, vertibirds, patrols, checkpoints, etc. Surreal Creator said something similar, where he said they needed better weapons and armor. And also Luke the VD said better weapons and get all of them to wear power armor. I like that. Let's have a specific Minutemen power armor, or at least a combat armor of some sort. Speaking about morality, Fishbone says that they're way too goody good. At least every faction on 4 had a flaw to their ideology, but they were morally flawless and the only good ending, which is exactly what I said. At Monkey Whispers says, there's no bad side about them. They're literally the goody good shoes of the wasteland. They haven't done anything horrible or bad. I agree. Son of Mars says, I didn't like them because they're too good. I feel like they should have had more morally questionable things with them. And then moving on to their importance as a faction. At Non-Social Zach says, they should have been an actual faction and not a basis for settlements for you to build/help. At Mr. Hunt says, cool idea, but they could be executed better. I wanted to be able to make real decisions for the faction and see our impact on the Commonwealth. And it felt like all we could do was build a settlement, save a settlement, or take back the castle. And sometimes it felt like just me and Preston. Agree. I mean, where are all these people that we're recruiting to the Minutemen? Where are the soldiers? Where are the other fighters? They're there, but they don't feel truly present. Chris Carter says, the Minutemen were a good idea, but they felt like the undercard to the Brotherhood of Steel versus Institute fight. They ended up another settlement needs your help joke. And finally, what I was mentioning with the Gunners. James Reed says, I love them. I do wish that there would have been a quest related to going to war with the Gunners and liberating Quincy though. Absolutely fundamentally agree, especially because Quincy was an important Minutemen stronghold before. So anyways, Wastelanders, I hope you enjoyed this altered lore video of the Minutemen. Please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. What other games do you want me to alter the lore next for? I would love to hear your thoughts and suggestions, and until next time, this has been the Lone Vault Wanderer. Please take care of yourself, and would you kindly keep fighting the good fight.